Okay, let's chat about Moonlighter 2. So the first Moonlighter came out... Pause the music here. The first Moonlighter came out 7 years ago? Question mark? I think, bro. How? Okay, close enough. Yes, little one taking over that cat tower too. Moonlighter release date. Pretty sure it came out 7 years ago. In fact, almost exactly 7 years ago. May 29th, 2018. So yeah. So the second one's this one is coming out, is slated to come out summer 2025. I don't think there's an exact release date yet. I'm gonna play the footage and just kind of like talk over it. Just make sure it's not too loud. Okay. So the ebb and flow of this game is basically you run a shop in a town. We have footage for that too. And in this shop, you sell relics. And with the gold you earn from selling relics, you get, you purchase like upgrades for weapon, armor, gear, that kind of stuff. Perks, like, increased potion charge uses, things like that. And then you go out in dungeon crawling, which is what you're seeing right now. Hey, who's meowing? I swear to God, dude. You go out dungeon crawling, which is what you see right now. And you push roguelike dungeons to get more and better relics, which you then go back to the shop and sell. So here you go. I'll pause here in a second. So here's the relic. So you defeated the room, you get some relics. You get these relics, higher gold relics. The further you push, the harder content you do, which you require better gear for. You come back to the shop, you sell those, you make even more gold, get more upgrades, go back in. So that's the gameplay loop. This is not a good place to show what I was about to say. Actually, yes it is. Actually, no, it's not. I'll explain this stuff later. So that's the kind of ebb and flow of how the game works. Like I said, I hadn't played the first one. I was just familiar with it. In fact, I own it on Steam. I just haven't touched it. So it's like dungeon crawler style. If you die in these runs, you fail the run, but you get out with all the relics you've got, except they are minus 50% value. So you just essentially lose a ton of money by going in there. The combat was like fine. It's kind of like what you're seeing here. It wasn't like overly. There wasn't like overly deep combat. Like there wasn't like a massive talent tree that I saw, at least, that you spec into, and like tons of different builds. It was more like, this is your weapon. Your weapon has a light and a heavy attack. You can combo them. Every X light attacks does like a twirl giga attack. Things like that. The real depth from builds comes more so in like the roguelike choices. So you can have things like your light attack launch, has a chance to launch 2 missiles at enemies, and then you can do something else where it's like the missiles, light enemies on fire, or like, every third attack of your light attack does like extra damage, and then you just kind of like just usual roguelite stuff, and then you kind of make builds from that. The general gameplay for combat, as you can see, is light, heavy attack, and then you have like a ranged attack too. Which are those little green pips at the top. That's essentially your ammo. So here you go. So here's like an example of like some of the stuff you start building with roguelike through the dungeons. I think there were 2 different types of rooms. One was like for abilities, and one was more for like stats, like this. So this is like a perk room, and then there was a room that had more like I said, like, every third attack on your sword, like, shoots out, like, a wave of fire, like, things like that. So, as I was saying, outside of that, you have, and then you also have your ranged attack, which has the green pips, so that you have 5 ammo there, essentially. And you recharge that by just dealing damage. And it recharges pretty quickly, so it's, like, something you can use fairly liberally to try and snipe enemies that are too far from you, etc. Like the guys at the bottom of the screen, for instance. I don't know. This is B-roll footage, so this is not my gameplay. I obviously just snipe those guys down there. And then you have, your usual healing pots, things like that. At the top, that's something you can increase. There's various materials that drop. You can see on the right side of the screen, based on what you're killing. Some of those materials are also, outside of just gold, are also used for some of your like talent tree upgrades and stuff like that later on. There's also that impact you just saw. There's also a system where some of the tougher enemies, when they glow purple like that, you can go and swing your big ol' sack and essentially launch them in the direction that you're swinging. So you can either punt them off platforms completely and like auto kill them, or you can knock them into walls and have them like get stunned, or you can knock them into other enemies, etc. And there's even builds you can do around that with like roguelite stuff. Like, you know, every time you eject an enemy, aka shoot it off the edge, you heal for like 20 health or something. So there's things you can build around that too. You can see some of the ranged combat stuff there. Can you change the difficulty in any way? So, the difficulty, I'm trying to remember. So there's no like difficulty from what I remember at the beginning of the game where it's like, do you want to play easy, normal, or hard? A lot of the difficulty lies in pushing dungeons further, and I think there were like tiers of dungeons. A lot of the stuff was locked because they gave us like an early access version, like this wasn't the full game. But yeah. Within, so you guys kind of got the gist of this is almost the end of this reroll footage. Okay. So yeah, so this is the kind of ebb and flow. As I was saying earlier, the combat in the game is not like overly deep for sure, but it's pretty tough. In fact, a lot of the like creators there like not complained, but like said it was tough. They died a lot and stuff like that. It is definitely a little tougher. If you're not used to this kind of combat, like dodging properly and stuff like that. But if you played this kind of game before, it's not too bad, but there are definitely situations where you can get really quickly overwhelmed. Just, you know, like 7 enemies, like AoE all over the ground, projectiles shooting at you, a couple mobs chasing you from melee, like those guys charging across the screen. So it gets, like, some of the timings are tight, so the combat can actually be quite difficult. But in terms of the depth of combat and the, you know, what combos you need to pull it off and stuff, it definitely wasn't too deep, which is not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's just up to you. Now, that being said, again, we didn't play for very long, and what they gave us was like the beginning of the game, essentially. You go through like the early tutorial experience, and then you kind of start, you know, dungeon grinding at the beginning for a bit. So that being said, I mean, maybe it gets crazier, like even crazier later, as you progress through the game. There were 3 major biomes, something like that. I think in not this video, but I think in one of the later videos we'll like see you walking up to the area where you queue up for dungeons, and I think that's where we can see one more time if there was anything difficulty wise to do. It does not support VR, but you know, good question. Clearly. One last thing I'll talk about, I didn't want to do it at that box, so hopefully it hits another box somewhere in this video, is the bag system that you just saw is not as much as you think, just like, oh, these are my inventory slots and that's it, I just loot, and once this is full, I'm out of here. I don't think they had this in the first one, but they've added like an entire mini game of the inventory system within your dungeon running too. So next time it pops up, I'll go a little more into detail on that. In fact, maybe towards the end of this video, depending on if they're still in the same run, it'll get more intense. So it's not like I have 10 bag slots, I've looted 10 relics, I'm going to keep pushing and just delete the lower value relics if I get higher level ones. There's things like, this relic will destroy anything in the spot above it, and this relic, this relic, if anything in this row gets destroyed, gets plus 100 gold, and this relic destroys everything in this column, and this relic, if anything gets burned, when I say destroyed, oftentimes it's burning. If you burn anything in your bag, per item you burn, this gets like plus 50 gold. So you kind of, you need to collect some relics and plan around like relic knowledge and be like, oh man, I hope I get this relic that burns this spot, because if I do, this other one's primed to gain like 500 gold and all that kind of stuff. I think we might see it here. Right. So as you can see, so what happens is, let me go back like 10 seconds. So what happens is when you open these chests, you always get a couple of like guaranteed relics here, and then you get one like mystery relic of various rarity, and it's usually a choice of 2, I think sometimes 3 relics, so you can kind of plan around in your bag. So you can see in your bags right now you have a relic that's worth 50, a relic that's worth 50, it's green quality, and then just this useless piece of wood. But for instance, this one here, this claw one, has like a little pink arrow going to the right. If I remember correctly, those ones burn. So this one, basically, if they were to hover over it, would say anything in the right spot of this relic will get burned. One time only. It's like 1 charge. And then this little swirly icon turns gray because it happened. So they put it in the top right of their bags because you can't put anything to the right of that relic and destroy it. But sometimes, like I said, you want to purposely destroy things because it boosts the value of other relics that proc off of that kind of stuff. So let's see what they get here in the bag. So there you go. Perfect example. So one of the 2 options they can have is the next time you burn a relic, you gain its value in money. So this is baseline 150. So if you were to put this in your bags and then take that burning relic, move it in your bag, and then burn something with it that's worth 100, that 100 would get destroyed, and then you would add 100 to this. So essentially, you would have the value of the relic you burned, but now you've saved a bag slot. You know what I mean? Or you could do the second one. Each time you burn a common relic, so a white relic, this one gets 50 gold. This one gets 50. It only starts at 50, but the longer you do the run, every time you burn a relic, plus 50, plus 50, plus 50, this can have huge value by the end of it. So there's this kind of like mini game constantly going on with this. In fact, I might burn one of them here. We'll see. And wood is usually just like useless. It's only 1 gold, but wood was used as a fuel for a lot of things. So you can use it as a burn because it's pretty common. There's some relics that are like, if this relic gets destroyed, any wood in your bags gain like 100 gold each, and all of a sudden you have 4 of them, and then just like wood is like super useful. So there's just a lot of these types of items. And I was talking to the devs at like later at the dinner that night. And I was like, yeah, you know, like everything, like I had a lot of fun, you know, but like a lot of these games like live or die on like variants and, you know, new stuff constantly. And they're like, oh man, you haven't seen anything yet. So they definitely talked a big game about, I was like, yeah, and you know, you only have like 2 rows of bag space. Does that increase later? Because like the mini game's fun, but if it's like 2 rows the entire time, they're like, basically they said like, don't worry about it. You haven't, like you saw like a very small snippet of like what's to come. So that had me excited. That's good. But that's generally the dungeon gameplay, and then every few, I'm gonna see, well, hopefully you see it in this video, every few rooms, let me skip around actually a bit. Oh, well, there you go. I was about to say, every few rooms there's like an elite, and then boss fight, and then blah, blah, blah. You can choose to leave the runs at any point. Like, if you're in the middle of a room and you're like, I don't know if we're gonna make it, you could just leave with what you have, full value, and go. The idea is, do you want to greed and push further and get the even better relics and bigger combos and more money? Or do you want, but potentially you die and lose half the value of all the relics in your bags? Or do you want to just get out safely? And then every few rooms, there's like elites / bosses, things like that. I'm just trying to see. Oh, this is just another bag session, so you can see what happens based on like what I explained here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like the way the bag UI looks, like clearly you're gonna get some extra rows in your bags for some of the stuff. So here's like another like bag interaction thing. So this one says, if this gets burned, you duplicate this relic. So this one doesn't get destroyed. Well, it gets destroyed, but then 2 of these appear. So you have to have 2 bag slots, but essentially you get an extra 100 relic that you can reproc. Or you can take this and it says, once placed, you gain 100 gold per each adjacent firewood. So you'd want to put this somewhere in, well, you have 2 rows, but you want to put this in a position. So here's like a firewood value, right? If you have 3 firewood, you could put one below, left, and right. Put this right in the middle. This gains plus 300 gold, which is a lot at this point in the game. Best player, baby. Thank you for the 73 primer, so they chose that one, and now they're gonna move the wood around. You can do it. There you go. So if you put that between them, you should get 200 gold. So there's the 200 extra gold value, and the thing turned gray because the proc happened. And then as you can see, these are the burn relics. So this one, just like the one on the top right, will destroy or burn a relic, and it has a little pink arrow to the top. So if you were to put something above it, it would destroy it. But you can also just put it in the top row there and like save it for later. Or just never do anything with it and sell it for 50 gold when you get back to town. It's up to you. But it is, it's like a mechanic for that, you know? I don't know what they're planning to do because I don't know what else is in their bags, but it looks like they want to destroy some stuff maybe. Okay, so he destroyed that relic. And by doing so, I didn't know what he did with that relic, so you can see he used the burn there. It did something like it like buffed this fire, obviously. Once the burn was used, it turned pink. So this relic is now like inert. It will not burn again. It is just like a flat 50 gold relic. You've done the proc on it, you know? Oh, that's not good, Ginger Man. Bro, I know that fear and pain and stuff. Trust me. So let me like skip a little bit ahead here, as he just goes through other rooms. So you can see after this, I think, he goes to, yeah, so that's like a boss room or like an elite room. I forget if it's a boss or elite, but either way, I did this encounter as well, the one they're about to do here. And then these like reward you better stuff, etc. But of course they're tougher. This one was not really a boss. Well, kind of. It was more like waves of enemies. This one, and you have to survive long enough while that turret shot stuff at you, and then eventually you just destroy the turret as well. Spoilers. There are also elite. I think we're gonna see them. There's elite versions of all the enemies. They basically have a star next to their name, and they're the more or less the same thing. They just have a bunch more health and do a bunch more damage. So they're more difficult to deal with. So either avoid them and kill the small stuff first, or just try to gun them down quickly as fast as possible. You'll be fine, Ginger. I don't see any here yet. Perhaps in a moment. Let me skip 30 seconds, maybe I'll see them. Maybe there were none on this. So yeah, so once you kill the last, spoilers for this first boss fight or whatever. Once you kill these like last couple of waves of enemies, the turret starts shooting stuff. You can actually, there you go, like shoot back at it, and then you just do that. And, okay, but like actually into the turret. But like actually into the turret. There you go. Okay, one more time. And then you just kill the turret. So then you win that encounter. So that's the at least the beginning dungeon versions of the game. They got a purple relic this time. Each time a relic is burned, add 50 to adjacent relics. So you can see there's like a little bag mini game, little Tetris-y style thing. Not really Tetris, but little like puzzle in your bags constantly. Along the way, so you can see this like room choice, just like a lot of other dungeon crawlers do. I think this one was like another perk choice for like roguelike elements, and then this is like you visit the blacksmith, and the blacksmith can give you his own special set of perks, which I think is what they're going to go do here, so you can see that. There's also an alchemist lady. There's a blacksmith guy and an alchemist lady. Alchemist lady obviously deals with things that to do with like healing and potion charges and whatever, and he deals more with like attack and weapons. So you can see he has his own kind of attack-based roguelike elements. Your special hits twice, things like that. Yeah, you can get some pretty cracked stuff pretty quickly for sure. I don't know if they finished this run or not. Or I don't know about finished, but like looks like there's just all the footage for this one. Last note about dungeons, that B, the icon you see in the bottom right corner there. I'll go back just a bit so you can see it while live. That's basically your like Hearthstone. So you hold that down when you want to leave the dungeon. It's like a 2-second cast or something like that. Yeah, nothing else to say about that. That's just your I'm out of here button. One gripe I had, and I actually passed the feedback on to them, and they said that it's, yeah, like it's something they're doing. Don't worry. Is that there was no controller, or there's no key remapping in this build yet. So for anybody who's played any form of like, well, any game of any genre where you usually have to dodge, like 95% of the time it's either on circle/B or like X/A, right? Cross/A, depending on the controller you use. In this game, they put it on left trigger. And B, as you can see, as I just mentioned, aka circle, was used for literally nothing else but just holding down to Hearth out of town. So just swapping those two for me would have been a lot better because my muscle memory kept trying to hit B to like roll, so I kept getting hit by random stuff. There's the alchemist lady. You're gonna see her too. But oh, maybe not. But like that. But they said that that's something they're gonna be implementing or working on, or like good feedback or like whatever. That was like my only gripe with the combat, but the combat was definitely it looks simple, but it gets really tough. It was fun. I really enjoyed the game, to be honest. Like I said, I didn't really play the first one, but it was just like a really fun gameplay loop of everything. We'll go over the other half of the stuff now, which is you finish a run, you get back to town, and it's time for the shopping element of the game, the store element of the game. There's like an overarching story in the game, by the way, as well. There's a narrative. Not anything crazy, but yeah. Oh, the Enshrouded Thingy's up, my bad. That should not be up right now. There we go. Okay. If you couldn't see it, it's just this. This was the button. Sorry. I didn't realize that thing was still up. It's just like, just so you see the UI element. I'm not hiding anything behind my cam either, so. Cool. Somebody asked, can you move relics in the bag, or you need to empty the slot? You can move relics whenever you want. So like, I think you saw that earlier, actually. They might do it here. So if there's like a relic that says, you know, place, I don't know, like the fire relics, for instance, right? The fire relics that are like, this will burn anything above it. If you put the fire relic at the top, so there's no slot above it, you can move that fire relic later down one in order to put something to get burned. Does that answer your question, Damus? They might play a little shuffle game here. You can also, yeah, see, you can swap them around. You swap them around to get one burned, freed up a slot. You can also use, you can like drop and get rid of relics and stuff. You can also, I think you could, but you can use the slots in the chest here to move stuff around as well if you want, or to just like leave stuff there. Like if they're like, oh, I don't want this log anymore here, they could just leave it there and get rid of it. I think there was a way to drop too. I can't remember for sure. But yes, there's a lot of freedom with your, like, you don't have to worry about the very first relic you get. I have to put it in the right spot because it's a permanent decision for the rest of this run. It's not like that at all. You can play a lot of musical chairs with them and shift them around and do what you need to do with them. Cool. All right. The shopping part. So you get all these relics and you go back to town. This is your shop. This is your house, essentially. I don't know if they're going to show it. If they do, well, if they don't, I'll comment on it after, so I'll wait to see if they show it. But this is your shop. And the runs that we just saw, whatever 10 relics or later on X amount of relics you end up with, you bring back here. And you put on these pedestals and you sell. Now, I'm going to play it. I'm going to pause a few times to go over the elements. So, as you can see, you choose which of the items you want to put down. A shop session lasts from, unless they change it or there's something later, the way it worked when we did it, a shop session lasts from the moment you start the store, when you open the store whenever you want, to the moment you sell all of your relics. So you sell all 10 relics in one go, all 25 later, or whatever it might be. I don't know if you can prematurely close the shop and not sell your relics, but every time we did it, it was all in one go. So you don't only choose 4 on the 4 pedestals, and that's all you can sell for the day. So there's some strategy involved, and you'll see in a second why, as to which ones you sell when. So let's see. So they're going around to their pedestals, and they're deciding what to sell. In the top right corner, you can see that there's like a blue icon and a red icon. So those are shop-based mechanics. I forget what they're called. I think they're called charms. And what happens is every time you're about to make a sale, you can add one of those mechanics. You can add one of those charms, sometimes more, based on, you'll see in a second, more mechanics. You can add some of those charms to basically add value to the sale. The blue one adds flat amount of gold, and the red one adds a percentage amount of gold based on the sale item. All right? And you get those, you get a random one of those every time you complete a sale. And in other ways. Hi, Mr. Cat. Please don't spill the water. So the shop itself, by the way, is its own mini game. Okay, so the shop is open. First thing that they do is, that's right, the shop as well is a roguelite game. It's a roguelite mini game. So so there's strategy to the shop. So for instance, the first one says 10% charm effect for the red one, which means that instead of adding a baseline, I think 30% value for this shopping session, it will be a 40% value. But it says, but disasters happen more often. Disasters are like, there's like dirt goes on the ground, so you have to go sweep it, like things like that, like little chores to keep the shop looking good, or like something breaks, you have to go fix it quick, etc. So there's roguelike mechanics in the sales themselves as well. So you need to just, kind of plan what you want to do. And this is why there's strategy to what you want to sell when. Some of these perks can be like, every time you sell like a common item, it boosts the price of like all rare items by 50, like things like that. So once you get a knowledge base of some of the things that you can do, you go, ooh, I hope I get this one so that, I'm going to save my like selling this blue relic because I'm going to try to make it super expensive towards the end by proccing a whole bunch of other relics. Or I'm going to focus on boosting the blue one instead of the red charm one. I'm going to focus on boosting because every time I sell something with a boost, it gets plus 20 gold. And then, next time I choose a roguelite element, I'm going to try to focus only on boost stuff. Because some of them are just, actually, you can see one right here. Some of them are just like straight up like gain some charms and boost effects for free. You always get one charm or boost effect just by making a sale. All right. So customers come in, they poke around. So there's a disaster you just saw. And sometimes you get these little mini-game procs where you can go shine a relic. And if you get the little QTE button prompt, every time you get one, it boosts the value of that sale. So there's just a kind of like little mini-games going on while you're doing this mini-game of the game while you're doing like a roguelite. So that guy wants to sell an item. And this is where you can, like, they want to buy the, like, the price is predetermined at 250, and this is where you can choose to add boost or charm. Usually there's only one slot, but there's upgrades and also roguelite elements that allows you to have more than one, or just multiple in general, slots for boosts and charms, which means that you can technically giga feed some items. So this 250, like, I got up to a point where I had 3 empty slots, and it was just like, here's a boost, and then here's a percentage, and then here's a percentage on top of that. And it sold for like 3K, like, so there's a bunch of strategy to be done. So here they added the boost, which was just a flat amount of money. And then we had the boost effect that they chose from the roguelite element. So that blue flat amount boost gave them, a decent amount. They put both of them though. So they put the boost and then they put the percentage multiplier on top of it. So that 250 turned into 409. And then that's that. And then, and as you can see in the top left, top right, there's a goal for like sell this much money in one day. So here's another set of effects, which compound, of course, like any roguelite style. You can see you can take a look at any time at the things you've chosen on the left side to like remember what you've done, and then you just keep going. People come in and want to buy stuff. Also, this tip and rewards screen here, actually, I don't think existed when we played, which is a nice addition because it lets you just heads up overview to remind you what like your procs and effects are. So that's nice. So once the spot opens up because you've made a sale, you go place another relic down, and then, yeah, people coming around, you sell, and so on and so on. And so on and so on. And I think every like X sales, I think it ramps. You get like another. You can see the blue, the green exclamation mark. You get like another perk every time, which is why I said there's strategy to selling into which relics you want to sell first, because the later relics you sell, by then you'll have 3-4 different like roguelite choices and procs, and you've built stuff up, so you can really like flex big sales on some of your later stuff, which is not necessarily always save your like highest baseline price ones, because they'll sell the most. Sometimes it's just like common ones. Like I sold like a piece of wood for like 800 once, because there's just, I don't know, the stars aligned for it, you know what I mean? No shop storage? Well, you don't need storage because you don't store anything. You sell everything after a round of, like a dungeon round. I didn't see any way to not sell anything, or a storage, or like close the shop early or anything like that. Now, to be fair, I never actually, like the little key icon in the bottom right that you can see right now, that's where you go open the store. I actually never tried to go to it and prematurely close the store. The session kind of just ended when you sell everything. I don't even know if you can close the store early. I think you kind of just have to sell everything. But I'm not sure 100% about that. Wait. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. Oh, no, I just paused the whole thing. No. Where were we? Like right here, I think. Just want to see him sweep again. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this dirt pile right here, you can see there's like a little token right here when you swept. So every time you like fix one of they're called disasters, like sweep a pile or whatever, you get this little token. And these tokens are used for, I'll tell you in a bit, because it ties into the house stuff. And if they don't show it, then I'll just explain it, but it'll be easier if they show it. I don't think they showed in this one, but there's one more like short shop video. So they sold the last item, the shop automatically closes, and your day ends. And it says what you sold for how much, etc., all that kind of stuff. Percent time in dungeon versus shop. It's hard to answer because it depends how long your dungeon runs are. But dungeon's definitely longer than shop. But also your shop sessions depend on how many relics you bring back based on your bag space and stuff too, right? But in general, I would say I was spending 3/4 of the time in dungeons, the rest not in dungeon, mostly shop, outside of the non-dungeon time. But you could also just have a really crappy, quick dungeon run. Oh, good. Okay, so your like bedroom area here and the shop in general, like not just this area, but your shop in general, has that's a good freeze frame right here, has a bunch of customizable stuff. Yay! So those tokens that you saw, you bring to a vendor in town, and you can purchase, there was like a ton of different cosmetics. Floor color, floor style, wood style, bed sheet color, these boxes in the corner being like a stand, the stands themselves, the carpet, the color on the walls, all that kind of stuff. So there's like a bunch of customizability options for your shop and bed area, to just kind of make it your own. So for people that like to decorate, design, collect stuff, there was a bunch of that too. Oh, wait, it's here. I thought you had to go. Okay. Wait, why did you have to go? There was a different lady you go talk to. I think it might have been for a different cosmetic thing. But okay, I'm glad that they're displaying it. So there's a bunch of different like cosmetics that you get unlock. This was like the limited early preview for the stuff, so I'm glad they went there. And then this is the, I assume, yeah, there's still 20 seconds. So this is kind of like the town square area. So in the top part here, the town's a little bigger than just the central area, but generally most of the stuff you need in here outside of story elements is here. So if you go to the top, that's where you go start your dungeon runs. Your shop's top left. The blacksmith for, they might show it. They don't. The blacksmith guy is for like doing your weapon upgrades and your weapon types. I think there were like 5 different weapons, something like that, maybe more. And they all had like, you know, upgrades and stuff like that. And then the potion lady is to the bottom left, and she had upgrades are things like the amount of heal charges you get per run and how much it heals and how much like material you gain of this and like that kind of stuff. So they're kind of like some mini talent trees there. And then there was one other area where there was like, I forget exactly where it was, where there was like a legit like bigger talent tree. Like think like PoE 2 or Slowromancer. Okay, not nearly to that size, but like that kind of tree where it kind of like branched off in different directions with little connectors and stuff. So that's where you start your dungeon run, by the way, when Yules asked earlier. I don't think there was a difficulty setting. You can see the different weapon stands here, so I guess it was 4 weapons. There's a couple different weapon stands there, and you can choose which weapon you want to start your run with. And then these 2 biomes were completely locked to us. I don't know if those are all the biomes. I don't know if these are just increased difficulties of the first biome, and then there's other stuff later. I have no idea, but they said, like I said, the devs were like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. A lot of the difficulty of the run also comes in how far you push. I think it just gets harder and harder as you push further into the run. There was some kind of difficulty system. I forget exactly what it was. And then we have this one as well. That's it for the B-roll footage. Oh, here's the rest of the town. So there's the potion lady on the left there. Looks like they might run around and show you some more stuff. Or just go straight to the shop. That works too. Mr. Cat, what are you doing to that water dish? No different house layouts? No. Not that I saw. Just cosmetic versions of the house. But this is your shop, basically. And that was, how do you pronounce Kalina? Kalina? Might also be Kalina. You never know. Is it better or worse than WoW housing? Well, it exists, and the other doesn't, so... You be the judge. So yeah, so that is generally what's going on in the game. There was like, I don't want to like spoil really. Not that there's much to spoil, it was early on. There's like an overarching story. And by doing, oh, looks like in this one they did. Once you complete the like sell 5,000 gold in one day, you unlocked like what seemed to be like a major portion of the game, and it hinted at like a lot of dungeons and endless dungeon and stuff like that. So I didn't experience it, and now that I think about it, it leads me to believe that that was kind of the it leads me to believe that that was kind of the tutorial experience, and I probably didn't really see the meat and bones of the game really much. But so I guess what I'm getting at is the devs seem to very much imply, and I feel like everything we just saw here was kind of like the baby steps of the game, but nonetheless this is kind of feels like the jam. Housing's better. So true, Italian. It doesn't exist, but I don't think there was any character customization now, because I think you play a, like, you are a particular character in a story, like a narrative that like the character belongs in. I think it's from the first game too, or like the son of the first game, something like that. Technically, they both exist, true, but not publicly, either of them yet. Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Or any more questions? I think I've gone over mostly everything. Well, everything that we saw. Or are you still bald? Choice. It's a life choice, yo. Will I play Moonlighter 1? I don't know if we'll have time to play Moonlighter 1 before Moonlighter 2. If that answers your question. Which it did directly, so. Nico, man, what's up, dude? How many tiles are on the floor? Count them. Let me know. Do you get more stands to sell later? I have no idea. What you see here is everything we got to play with. I don't know what aspects of the game expand. Clearly, some do, based on what they said. And I don't know... like what new systems there are or anything like that. We just kind of had like a small taste of it, you know? I mean, I'm right here, Expector, if that answers your question. Exactly what Nico said. Cool. I'm going to skip... Oh, I think it's just store. Oh, there was the whole, like, 5K thing. Okay. Oh, here you can see the weapon crafting stuff and armor. Nothing like, of course, terribly in depth, like I said, but there is customization to at least baseline what you do and like how the build starts, and then the majority of that comes from the roguelike elements, just like in, well, most roguelike games you see. What does it mean when they look angry? Are you talking about the customers? So there's like a time system. Let me see if I can find one that you're talking about. So if you... I'll go back a second. Might be here. Customers go and like look at items, and then when they have an exclamation mark above their head, it means that they're interested in purchasing. But you have a limited time to go talk to them before, like, there's like a red circle around. You'll probably see it in a second. Well, that guy came in pissed. If they are already mad, I'm not sure if it has any effect on the game. I'm not gonna lie, because I had some mad guys still go try to buy stuff, and I sold it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pay attention to where if there was any like, this person's buying stuff, but they will. It's like minus 20% value or something. So there must be something to it, but it usually means that they're like pissed off about something. And often I don't think I ever saw them coming in angry like that. Usually it's like you don't talk to them fast enough and their interest in the item goes away, and then they get mad. I think they can also potentially get mad if there's like dirt on the floor and stuff and you haven't kept the store clean. How am I playing this? I'm not playing this. I'm just, yeah, so you can see the red timer around. I played it at an early preview, and the embargo is up today, so I was just showing you guys what we played so far. Probably give you less time to sell to them. The thing is, it's weird because, like, there's no time pressure to... Like, there's time pressure to sell to the person that's there, but you don't have, at least in my limited experience, you didn't have a limited amount of customers per day. Like, their customers would keep coming in until you sold all of your relics, no matter what. And I didn't see too much, not that it doesn't exist or won't exist, but I didn't see too much reason to help one customer over another. It was more so just like, oh, that person's interested in purchasing, I'm going to go to sell to them right now. So there might be a system, or was a system, and I didn't pick up on it, or they didn't implement it yet, of like, well, this guy's angry, so it's like minus 50% value or something like that, you know? I don't know. I'm so excited for it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Russell. It was a lot of fun, man. Typical retail experience. This makes me want to replay the first game. Yeah, you should. So that's it, more or less, for this. Looks like they never went to the talent tree stuff. That's it, more or less, for the B-roll footage they gave. There's some stuff they didn't show on here. Like I said, like the talent tree, and the talent tree relates not only to like the dungeon, but also to like selling in the shop. So that's kind of that's all they gave us. And to be honest, we didn't really see that much more either. But yeah, the game was a lot of fun. It definitely had just like, it flowed well in terms of like, go get relics, use relics, make gold to fuel your baseline strength to go back into the run, push further into the dungeon, get more expensive relics, find more rare stuff, relics, come back and sell them for more gold equals more upgrades, push further into the dungeon, blah, 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 blah. And as I said, I talked to the devs later that night, and they were like, oh, they were very boastful of letting us know and implying, or letting me know, because I was talking to them alone, in a dark corner, that we saw nothing. Like, there's a bunch more. It wasn't like, at no point made me feel like, oh, we've kind of already seen everything the game has to offer. They're like, no, not even close. Because that's one of the concerns I had on the demo. I was like, this is all fun, but like, you know, did we see everything? And they're like, no. So there's a bunch more stuff, whether that be systems or biomes or just bag expansions or everything. There should be a bunch more stuff in the game. But yeah, no, it was definitely I had a lot of fun with it, personally. 100% will be playing this when it comes out. And it seems just like a chill game. I think a lot of people are going to play this on Steam Deck if you have it, or just kind of chill out, because it wasn't anything that you needed outside of like the runs, I guess. Like the dungeon runs could get a little spicy, and like there's things that require attention for sales, but it was like kind of like also like a chill game. I think people are just going to kind of jam on this and grind and, you know, listen to a YouTube stream on the side or like whatever, right? Can multiple people be interested in the same item? I don't think I ever had that happen. That isn't to say it's impossible, but I didn't have it. Didn't have it happen. All right, cool. Any last questions? And while you guys type them up if you have any. Just like I did with altars, like I said, I found the gameplay loop really fun. I guess I honestly don't really have much criticism, or like I have like concern, but criticism I don't have much. It was just fun, and the graphics were cozy, and like everything, it was just a fun gameplay loop. Like when I was in the dungeon, I was like, damn, we're getting so much money, I can't wait to go sell. And when I was finished selling, I was like, I can't wait to go start my next dungeon run. So like, I want to honestly to play more of it. We just didn't have enough time. I would say so not many criticisms. I would say concerns is again just like the depth and longevity of the game, but based on what the devs themselves said, like that shouldn't be a concern that I have. But I can't help but feel that way after playing it, right? Because I was kind of, I was just, you know, kind of just like we talked about Night Rain. I'm just worried about like, okay, well, we've kind of now seen the loop, and I've done it for, I don't know, 10 hours or something. So if there's like nothing beyond this for 10 hours, I think people would get really bored with it. But again, I was told that's not going to be the case, so I'm going to go into it, of course, with a positive mentality, and you know, for the best. Yeah. I didn't play the first one much, no. That had already happened, Demus. Cool. So yeah, so I guess that's like my concern of the game, but apparently it's unfounded. So, other questions? I think we're good. You should. It's a great game. Oh, I know. I have it. I have it in my Steam library. I just haven't gone around to it because Lord knows nobody has time for anything these days. Alrighty. Then that concludes our little Moonlighter 2 preview snippet. If you just joined, you can either go back in the VOD and like watch the hour-long discussion, 45-minute discussion we just had, or Lentil will put this up on YouTube anyway, so it'll go up on our YouTube either today or tomorrow, and you can just kind of see it. Basically this chat, but just like slightly edited for everything we discussed there as well. Otherwise, yeah, it was fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. Like legit, there's just a nice little addictive gameplay loop game that will just have you like grinding and slamming. You know, release date, as far as I know, summer 2025. I don't think, not even under NDA, we weren't allowed to say or anything. They didn't say anything about release date while we were there. Oh, one more thing I guess I'll mention real quick. The game was fairly polished. Like I didn't run into any issue of mobs bugging out, terrain clipping, getting stuck, anything like that. The most I noticed is there was a couple of typos. You might even see one here actually right now. Just frequently you saw... Oh, not here. It's one of the perk rooms. You know, they just had things like, you know, boost your damage by 25%. So, you know, just some small fixes they need to do like that. There were some like mechanical bugs, which they actually had like a printed out sheet to like thank us for playing and blah, blah, blah. And then on the sheet we're like, hey, we're aware of like the following 3 bugs. Please don't do this because they won't work properly. So there's... outside of the 3 bugs they mentioned, they're like, it was basically like, don't pick this perk, it doesn't work yet, don't pick this perk, it doesn't work yet, and then don't like do this because it like bugs out. There you go, see 30% down here. And don't take this one because it bugs out. And outside of those 3 things that they mentioned, I didn't have a single issue with anything. No game crash, no lag, no frame drops. Like I said, no bugged mobs, no bugged terrain, attacks were like worked properly, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Will it be priced like the altars? I have no idea on that, I'm afraid. I don't know anything about like release or pricing or anything of the sort. I very much doubt this game's going to be like $70, like AAA retail or anything like that. I'd guess somewhere in the 20 to 50 very broad range, but that's just like a complete guess. Looks like you can fall off the edge. Oh, no, you can. I did several times. You don't die. It just spawns you on the ledge again, and you lose, like, 20% of your HP, something like that. I said it won't be Italian. Cool. All right, now we're Gucci. Very nice. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions later, I'm more than happy to answer them, but there's honestly much more to say. Like, I went pretty in-depth about this, and we just didn't play it nearly as much. So, yeah. Good stuff. That just seems like the bridge graphic is bigger than you think, kind of thing. You can definitely fall off, and in fact, not every single room that you do is like a combat room. Some of them are just like parkour rooms where you just run past traps and avoid like projectiles, and part of those rooms are like just gaps that you have to cross over, and you can only cross over gaps by rolling, otherwise you fall in them, so you have to roll past them.